All right. So in this video, we're going to talk about signs you are dating a negative Nancy and what to do about that. All right, so what is a negative Nancy? A negative Nancy is someone who is always down, always depressed, always miserable, always looking at everybody else about what it is that they're doing wrong. They are in everyone's business. They're prying, they're investigating, they're looking at what everyone else is doing in their lives. They're not living their own life probably, but they're looking and complaining and whining about other people, looking at other people's flaws in a very arrogant like way, in a very kind of stuck up and snotty way where it's like, they got their nose all the way to like, the end of the block or something, or like, one foot down, like you guys ever see Pinocchio? Kind of like that. These people are always looking at something wrong with the universe, with life, with other people, with themselves. And how can you even tell if these people are negative Nancy's? Like, what's the difference? These people are chronically depressed, chronically miserable. They are chronically looking at the flaw. If someone is just saying they just don't know about something and they give a slightly uneducated opinion or un, like not a high level critique on something, because there is grades of critique. As people become more aware and expanded in their consciousness, their level of critique becomes more wiser and more refined. But negative Nancy's are people who are always looking at something to criticize. They are always seeing the flaws in everything. And this is another one that needs to be noted. They can never be happy. You cannot make negative Nancy people. These are like the Debbie Downers, the people who are just so miserable within themselves. They like to see other people miserable too. Because when you're not happy with yourself, you don't want other people to be happy because then you internalize that and say, well, what's wrong with me? Why am I not happy? Why is everyone else doing better than me? And it makes sense, it's like if you're not comfortable within yourself, with your own skin, other people being happy is not really a benefit to you. It makes you feel more miserable. It makes you feel lesser than. It makes you feel worse. And that's what happens with these Debbie Downers, these negative Nancy's. So this video is just a reminder to you guys to keep these guys, these negative Nancy's at bay. You don't have to avoid them. You don't have to run away from them. They're not necessarily toxic people, but these people will lower your vibrations. They will lower your frequencies because they are always looking at things from the negative lens, from the negative perspective. And what they say may not be true or false. They're just choosing what they want to focus on. You can choose the negatives, you can choose the positives. None of these things are true or false. They're just what you have a tendency to focus on, as opposed to like, oh man, this is true, this is false. And what they say really is just an opinion. That's what it is. It's an opinion. But they are so fixated and so locked up in their opinions. And these people are generally fixated on the negatives. They're so locked up about, what could go wrong, what are the bad things about life, etc., etc. How do you deal with these people? I personally, I've had friends with people who are negative Nancy's, whatever. I'm really cool with people who are deep thinkers, philosophical, psychological, the therapist crowd. So I'm very cool with people who are deep thinkers, and people who are deep thinkers tend to be introverted and neurotic. That's a quality that we introverts and we philosophical, psychological people tend to have, is we are just thinking about life, but sometimes overthinking does not exactly benefit our reality, and sometimes we are just thinking extra stuff that is really not really benefiting our life. So how do you deal with them? You minimize the interactions with them this way that you are not being drowned by their energy, by their unwanted energy. So you're not absorbing their problems. So you're not absorbing their negativity, their complaining, their whining. Like when they're venting and they're vomiting their problems to you, sometimes they can transfer that negativity to you. And you can feel it like when you go home and you feel miserable and you feel depressed, or when you're not around that person, when you were with that person and you feel worse, you can feel that because energy is contagious. Minimize the interaction if you feel that this person, if you want to keep that relationship with that person, but you just don't want to spend so much time and energy with that person, minimize the interaction this way that they are not drowning you with their problems, they're not drowning you with their negativity. Now, another thing about negative Nancy's is that they don't have a cup to fill. Their cup is always empty. They don't have anything to give. They don't have any happiness or love to give. So you have to be the one that is positive. You need to be the one that is leading in terms of the positivity because if they're always down, if they're always negative, guess what? Guess who they're going to get that positivity from? Guess who they're going to get that happiness from? They have to get it from somewhere else. Just like energy vampires. Flies gravitate to light bulbs. Flies gravitate to light. Honeys gravitate to, or bees gravitate to honey. And these things are all for a reason. So, if you don't want to attract these people, mm, well, I mean, you don't have to, not even not to attract those people. How do I say this? Just minimize the interaction with them if you don't want to, like, be soaking up all their negativity because they will drown you with their problems. They will drown you with the fact that life is so miserable, life is so depressing. Again, life is what you want to focus on. There is no meaning, there is no life is what you want to think about it as. It's not there is no answer. Life is whatever you want to focus on, whatever you want to concentrate on. You can see people dying every day. You can see people getting raped. You can see people getting killed every day. You can see violence. You can see all these different negativity. But at some point, you got to choose what you want to focus on. Because if you allow yourself to focus on the negative all the time, what will happen is you will absorb that negativity. That's going to be your reality. So you want to, it's not even that you want to run away from it, because running away from it is bad, but you just want to focus on what you want to focus on because if you focus on all these different things, on all the problems of the universe, if you pay attention to social media, the news, your friends' problems, your family's problems, the how am I going to pay the bills? If you keep focusing on all these different things, you are going to be pretty much down packed with all these problems. You're going to be overwhelmed and burdened. That's all I got for you on this one. If you want to keep your relationship with the negative Nancy's, the Debbie Downers, minimize your interaction. I'm trying to think what more I want to say, but minimizing your interaction with them is pretty much the best bet that you can have with these type of people. That's all I got for you on this one. Check me out on prosperitylife.com for the best tips on how to win at life.